Look, it's me. It's me. Can you tell that I was sick? Okay, so let's get Release the Cracken episode 3 started. Now, I'm not clickbaiting with Overwatch versus Team Fortress 2. We will get there. I will get there. It is a part of the stream. So just bear with me. So the first thing I'm going to put up is actually just something that I thought was kind of cute. So, yeah. I need undies. I need undies. So just give me 1 second here and I will pop it up for you. What it is Nintendo reached out to Bill Nye the Science Guy to play with Labo. And I know I covered Labo last Friday, but I just thought it was really cute that they reached out to Bill Nye and asked him to basically play around with it and kind of get his assessment on the idea of adding science to video games, basically getting all children involved in scientific environments. And he had a blast. He loved it. He thinks it's a fantastic idea. And he like straight away said, you know, you could tell Nintendo had a heart here and they wanted to bring kids towards science. They weren't just like, oh, here's an idea that's going to make us millions. It's, you know, there was some heart in the idea. It wasn't just, you know, let's make $1 bajillion. So I'm going to quit the music here for a second and I'm going to pop that video up for you. Hopefully that warms your eyes up and your ears for the future topics.
Greetings, Bill Nye here in the lab. And you're saying, oh, that's a lab? Yes, it's the Nintendo Labo, which you use with your Nintendo Switch and these cardboard kits to make these wonderful, cool devices. It's nothing but fun, people, because it's science.
Whoop, whoa, well, you started it.
So we tested it in this.
I'm coming after you, Daniel. Hello, I am Scooty. Hi. Oh, yeah. Oh. Destroy you. I think you're a little dehydrated. It's a cardboard box full of cardboard sheets.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So you would basically get out of the box here and you start with, you get
Toy-Con 1.
Yes.
It's like DEF-CON 6, but it's just toys. And it's just one. Then it says make, play, discover. We start with make. I just touch.
Should we start?
Making the Toy-Con RC car. So if you're like me, and I know I am, I like to push from below. This is looking very promising.
Just press those red and blue buttons.
It's so freaking cool. Oh God, the infrared is happening.
Right, so there's a camera right there. You can see my hand kind of giving you the thumbs up right there.
This is very clever, man. This is cool as heck.
And basically, the goal is now who can knock over who first.
Oh, who can knock over? How do we knock over? The pit maneuver, as we say?
You won.
I used a classic pit maneuver there on the cardboard RC vehicles. God, I love these bad boys. All right, now what? Making the Toy-Con fishing rod. B-E-A-G-G-R-E-S-S-I-V-E. Be aggressive.
You push that
There's
in.
no turning back, Dan.
There is none.
We're going in there.
And now you're done. So now you've built a
Thing
lot of the
of
rod.
beauty, peoples. These have a whole, to me, side of the fishing reel vibe, don't they? This guy, hold it, yeah, what, would you slow down the kids? A little wiggleization.
So now we're back to those little musical notes you mentioned before. You only need one though. Now just fold the side tabs on this one.
Goes in here. It makes a little clicky sound.
Yes.
Oh, hi, I was just fishing. So I got one fish on the line here. And I mean, these are fish that are electronic, everybody. It's all good. And the whole thing really, it's really fun. And you built the rod, come on. And the little noise clicker gizmo is in here. And the constant force springs, the rubber bands, are down there in the ocean. Anyway, when the fish is on the line, that Joy-Con vibrates. It's very satisfying. Well, if you excuse me, I got dinner to catch.
So let's press discover.
Oh, and there is the Toy-Con garage sewer top. What I want is to experience control, cause and effect. That's what I want. My understanding is we can program the piano, some piano keys to operate the controllers.
Yes. This is the Toy-Con Garage screen.
Okay, here's input.
Input. And then, could you select Toy-Con?
Joy-Con.
And then piano.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we want the neon red
Yes.
to be operated by low C.
Got it. So,
Low C is here.
yeah.
All right. So vibrates over here with 2R. 3, 2, 1. One test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. I've worked for people who'd spend all day running in circles screaming. I mean, a guy could just dink around with this till the end of time. Hello, everybody. I am Scooter. Greetings. How are you?
Thank you all.
See you next time.
We had big fun here with Nintendo Labo. You should get one. Am I right, Scooter?
Yes, Bill. I was just...
That was Bill Nye playing around with Nintendo's implementation of science and kiddos, and I just thought it was really awesome. So I just thought I'd throw it in there because I know, like I said, I covered Labo last week. And so that this is like the end of covering Labo, unless something really rad comes out of Labo, like you can drive a car around that's made out of cardboard, and like actually sit in it and drive it or something. That's pretty much the end of Labo. But he talked about it. He talked about how like you can actually program the Labo to do more than what's given to you. So you can actually like program your own things. So if you cut out your own cardboard, you can actually start creating your own things. And he talked about how like within an hour of him just playing by himself creating these devices, he was able to create these really, really awesome devices that actually weren't originally meant for the Labo. And he said when you have 1 to 2 million children where their imagination goes above and beyond and they have lots of time on their hands, they're going to come out with like some really amazing things with the Labo, because he was saying that Nintendo is very innovative in the way that they try to be very inclusive with their audience and try to bring people in. They don't just say like, this is for science geeks or this is for smart people. It's more so, come on in. If you can just make the basic, but feel free to make what you want to make. And so it was pretty interesting, some of the stuff that they were talking about. But the gist of it was just they invited Bill Nye to play with it and asked Bill Nye his opinions on, it for kids and stuff. And he was just like, for 100% go for the whole thing. He 100% said this is what we should have for children. We should make it so that they're playing games like this and innovating in their own little worlds. Forgot to turn the music back on, as always. I gotta get used to that one day. So, that was the first trinket to get us going. The next one actually is, I didn't really see this coming. I don't know if it's going to extend into their other games or not. I just know that this next topic is Blizzard has now opened their marketplace to modders. So now the free mods that people were making and handing out to people, Blizzard is now monetizing them. So they are now creating premium mods just like Bethesda, and you will now have to basically buy mods and maps and etc. for $5 is the gist. I don't know if it's USD or if they're going to just kind of like change it per region, but basically yeah, I had no idea. I don't play StarCraft, so I had no idea, but they have added it to StarCraft. So StarCraft 2, for example, has these premium mods, and there was quite a few comments below the article that were kind of giving their own little debate on it. But let me just get to it here. An update to StarCraft 2, Blizzard's real-time strategy game released this week, gives players the option to download premium community-made maps. StarCraft 2 arcade maps are more like self-contained game mods that's straightforward battlegrounds. But unlike other fan-developed maps for StarCraft 2's arcade mode, which was free, the game's new premium arcade maps will cost money, a portion of which will go to each map's creator. Now, my concern here is when a modder comes out with something and somebody's paid for it, Blizzard can just point at the modder, right? So if Blizzard gets an update and it breaks things, they can just point. And I think that's kind of why a lot of these companies are doing this, is because they can point at the mod developer and say, it's his job, we updated our game, he has to update his mod. Now, this is what made a lot of modders in the Steam community quit, because they were not getting paid to basically deal with Valve's constant, and I mean constant, micro to medium updates to their engine, which pretty much usually reflected things such as Counter-Strike, as opposed to, or Dota 2 or whatever uses the engine, as opposed to the modders themselves. So I kind of feel like that's what they're going for, is they're trying to basically make a little money on the side and point the finger at the... This is my opinion. This is not a factual thing, but this is my opinion. I kind of feel like what they're doing is they can say, hey, we updated our engine, you paid for it from this developer, it's up to this developer to fix it. If he doesn't fix it, we're not giving you your money back, and that's too bad. That's how I'm taking this, yeah. So, Blizzard added the arcade section to StarCraft 2 in 2012 as a I'm having trouble with this word. Repository? Repository. That's how I would say it, repository for custom maps. But it wasn't until the week that StarCraft 2 finally got paid. Fan-made content in the form of 2 platinum arcade maps. The first is called Arc Stars. It was developed by content creator Daniel Pirate Altman, who won Blizzard's Rock the Cabinet map-making contest in 2015. Arc Star is a tactical turn-based role-playing game featuring the Protoss. The other debut premium arcade map is Direct Strike. Longtime community creator Taya made it, as well as the map's predecessor, Desert Strike HOTS. One of StarCraft 2's most popular arcade maps, Direct Strike is a game of tactical tug-of-war, and the new version of the map is more of a paid upgrade with new features than something totally new. Tim Morton, production director for StarCraft 2, told Polygon that the new premium arcade maps program is a way for us to reward top content creators who are providing exceptional value to players. The split in revenue on premium arcade maps favors content creators, he says. Morton said that selling community-created content is currently in its pilot program stage. Blizzard is still evaluating how much work it will take internally to roll out paid community-made content to wider pools of creators. We want to continue advancing our support for those content creators, Morton said, calling the long-awaited arrival of premium arcade maps a step in that process. It's an idea that's been around for close to a decade. Blizzard floating the concept of letting third-party content creators sell their StarCraft 2 maps and mods at BlizzCon 2009 before StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty was released. Blizzard also has a long history of community-created content in its games, like Warcraft 3 and the original StarCraft. Morton noted StarCraft 2 team in particular has brought on community creators like Ryan Shutter, who developed the Game Heart Spectator tool, and Kevin Monk Dung of Team Liquid, who is heading up development for new co-op commanders. So far, reactions to paid premium arcade maps coming to StarCraft 2 seems to be mostly positive. Certainly better than similar announcements that generated overwhelmingly negativity. Morton said that the StarCraft team will be sharing its experience with other teams at Blizzard, but downplayed the idea that premium arcade maps are indicative of the company's plans for paid mods for other Blizzard titles. Now, to be fair, I'll read the first 3 comments because it kind of gets into a big debate. All these comments are basically these guys that just keep tailing each other, and some of them get a little juvenile, some of them get a bit more mature. But I'll read the first 3. I am not a fan of this at all. Charging $4.99 for what amounts to a single map created by a third party is kind of outrageous. Take, for instance, the Nova Covert Ops mission packs, which were $7.49 for 3 maps and coupled with cinematics. It's kind of hard to see this as anything else than trying to cash into the creator community. So the reply was, what about the part where the person/people that made the map take the majority of that $4.99? If it's just the price that bothers you, this is the epitome of optimal content, definitely not something you need to buy for the full experience. Reply, which was from the first person who made the comment, is it's not so much the price that bothers me, but the fact it's even being done on the platform. It's taking a gaming culture that loves to mod and create maps and turning it into a revenue stream. A company hosting the mod gets to reap the lion's share with minimal effort. I would rather developers like this opt to create their own game and sell it direct, i.e. any of the MOBA-like mods that spun off and became their own games, or Team Fortress or Counter-Strike becoming full games. If they are already going through the trouble to create a total conversion, they might as well find to build their own and use an free/open engine. Either way, we will have to see how this is handled. The last thing I want to happen is for the mod tool set becoming extremely limited unless you're a premium creator. So, he threw that last part in, I guess, to try and make it seem like he's not focused on being charged money. So they don't really talk about anything like evaluation teams. They don't really talk about a rating system or how the premiums get in there because they're still in the evaluation period on how these things are getting done. So I'm assuming what they're doing is they're going by overwhelming reviews. So if a certain custom map or custom mode gets tons and tons and tons and tons of votes and reviews all over the internet, on blogs, on mod websites, etc., those are probably the ones they contact. They reach out to the creator and say, hey, do you want to make $5? You can either make this map premium or add to it on your next update and say, hey guys, from now on, all updates, etc., are going to come with the premium price tags. So it is what it is. I don't really like priced mods myself because, I pay $60 for the game. If people want to make mods, that's cool, but I mean, it really depends on what the mods are, because there was silly Bethesda mods that were just cosmetic that they were going to charge like $5+ for, and they were just cosmetic. It was like, do you want elf ears? Well, if you want elf ears, pay money for these elf ears. I don't really like that. I think that's kind of silly. It's not really my forte. It's not something that I look for. I would rather not have elf ears than pay $5 to a company that didn't even make the elf ears. I understand that the modder wants the money. I get it. I understand that. Start a Patreon. Start a donation button. Start your own community revolved around the mod and tell them, show them, include them. Ask them what they want added. Ask them what they want changed and include them. Tell them this is where I'm putting my time and my heart, and this is what I do for you. And there's a lot of people that will say, these elf ears are godly. Here's $5. I've wanted to be an elf in this game for so long. I don't know why they made them extinct. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. Here's $20. Or they Patreon for future updates. So the person says, hey, future updates, I'll throw out some like Neko ears and et cetera, I'll develop a couple like extra race ears, et cetera, and I'll put them in different colors if you want them in different colors, and I'll put other features into them for people who Patreon. So that way you actually get more of the mod. Patreon. Now, before it gets into too much of an argument here, Patreon does take a cut. So it is kind of similar. The only difference being is what is the cut trade-off. So if the company's taking 75% or if they're taking 60%, you're going to get more through Patreon. If they're taking 50%, if they're taking 20%, 10%, you might get less through Patreon depending on what you're asking on Patreon. If you're asking for $1 on Patreon, you're going to make a lot less because they have a standard flat fee that they take off of the dollar and put on the Patreon's billing right now, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's how they're working it right now. But ultimately, that's how these things go. You know, platforms aren't free, and this argument could go on for hours. So I'm going to move on to the next topic. Everybody's got, you know, great points on this. People were saying that, you know, StarCraft 2, for example, is free now. You don't have to pay for it. So that could be a reason why they found this logical. You know, why would you pay for more? You know, if you've already paid $60 for a game such as Skyrim, if it was a different game, why would you pay for more? List goes on. But ultimately, I'm going to move on from this topic. We've seen this before through Bethesda and Steam. This apparently has very positive reactions. Maybe it's just the community itself. Maybe just StarCraft is just really hungry for new content and they're willing to pay for it. That's where my bet is on. And if Blizzard can be a very cool company, and sometimes, you know, I could see Blizzard reaching out, you know, to a developer who's created a very robust map that is almost like a mini campaign. And I can see Blizzard reaching out to them and saying, hey, if you're willing to give us like a bigger cut, we will make cinematics for your map. And that person may be all down for that because they're like, oh my god, what I created is going to get the Blizzard artists on board to create cinematics for me. And that's very cheap. Before people get upset at that, for Blizzard to just say, give us more of a cut, give us like 60, 70% or whatever of the sales, is nothing compared to the expense of what it would cost to actually get those cinematics designed, done, and implemented into that content. So that is extremely expensive, especially if it's Blizzard's content creators doing it for you. So we're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million to get that high end done. So if they do reach out to some creators and start doing that kind of stuff, that's super cool, Blizzard. If they don't, it's just, you know, it's just a cash grab. It is what it is. But companies do sometimes reach out and be pretty cool that way. We've seen Valve do it. You know, they reach out to you and say, hey, let us take your game. We'll make it big. We'll make it a thing. We're going to go reach out there. Dota 2, for example. Counter-Strike, for example. List goes on. So, let's move on to the next topic. So, the next topic that I have here is actually Amazon Prime prices are rising. So, what's going on here is Amazon Prime annual subscriptions. I don't know about the other one. I didn't really read this. I just saw it pop up in the morning. And when I saw it pop up in the morning, thank you very much for that follow there, Jigotiga. I think I said that right. Amazon Prime annual subscription prices are jumping. They will be $119 per year. Now, I still think it's worth it before people start jumping the gun because people like to get upset when prices rise. The reason why I think it's worth it is you get Prime Video. You get Prime Music. You get... that's what it currently is, but it's jumping. It's going to be jumping. They talk about it in this article. I'll get to it. You get Twitch Prime, which gives you ads free. You get no ads. Sure, people could say, oh, well, I use ad blocker or whatever, but you get no ads. This includes your phone. So if you're using the phone app, things like that, there's no ads. You get special emotes. You get special, you get free games. You get free DLC. The list goes on. Sure, some DLC's lackluster, ooh, I get a purple hat. That's purple, and it says Twitch on it. But at the same time, it's still free. And you get a lot for what you're paying for. You get Prime as well on the Amazon platform, which usually gives you free 2-day shipping and things like that. Sometimes insurance, it really depends. I do know from what I have talked previously that Americans tend to get the better deal when it comes to Amazon Prime, not other countries, because when I'm on Amazon, my Prime is very limited. Everything I want doesn't come with Prime. Everything I don't want comes with Prime. So if it sucks and I don't need it, usually I can get Prime with it. But then when I ask my American friends, they're like, oh, I have Prime with this. And it could just be because Amazon doesn't have a lot of stretch where I live, which is fine. But I'm going to get into the article now to kind of so you guys get a little bit more of the details here. So, Amazon is raising the cost of annual Amazon Prime subscriptions for U.S. customers to $119. The company announced today Prime student memberships are also getting more expensive. They will now cost $59 per year. I kind of feel like I wish I was a student. $60, 50% off. In each case, the new price represents an increase of 20% over the current cost, which is $99 for Prime subscriptions and $49 for Prime student memberships. The increase will take effect for new Prime subscribers on May 11th. That's what I meant. It's going to start May 11th. While memberships for existing customers will renew at the higher rate starting June 16th, which is us, people that already have it. Amazon last raised the annual subscription price 4 years ago in April 2014 to $99. So remember, they've been pretty lenient. They have kept it up for quite a few years. It's not like they do this every year. I did have a suspicion that this was going to happen this year because when I got it last year, they were offering a lot and a lot and a lot and trying to get people to get it, there was a lot of ways they were trying to get people to get it, from giving people free Twitch subscriptions, et cetera, et cetera. And when companies do that, it usually means they're hurting or they're trying really hard to make that extra coin for some reason. And they get into that talking about how costs kept rising. And I think a lot of it has to do with their when they acquired Twitch, because it's expensive to keep those kind of premium servers going. So the company, that was the first time the company had raised the cost since introducing Prime in 2005 for $79 per year. Sorry. The value of Prime to customers has never been greater, said Brian Olszewski, Amazon's chief financial officer, in announcing the price hike during an earnings call this afternoon. And the cost is also high, as we pointed out, especially with shipping options and digital benefits. We continue to see rises in costs. Amazon reported sales of $51.04 billion during the quarter ending March 31st, 2018, up 43% year over year. Last week, Amazon gave Prime subscription figures for the first time, with CEO Jeff Bezos announcing in his annual shareholders letter that the company now has more than 100 million Prime members worldwide. The price increase applies only for annual Prime subscriptions. In January, Amazon raised the cost of monthly Prime and Prime student memberships in the US to $12.99 and $6.49 respectively, a jump of just about 18% in each case. So you are still saving on the annual money. I think you get, I have to look again. I'm not sure if you get 1 month free or 2 months free, but you get a couple months free. So see here, Amazon Prime started out offering free 2-day shipping on many items purchased from the retail giant. The company has expanded the membership over the years to encompass a wide range of benefits that now include streaming video and music services, a I always forget about that, the photo storage service. They offer a photo storage service, but I always forget about that because I'm not a photographer, so I don't really take a whole lot of photos to store, so I always forget about that service. You get free Kindle titles, Thursday Night Football, NFL games, and Twitch Prime membership, which now comes with free PC games. So that's what I keep trying to tell people, because a lot of people get upset at Twitch Prime. They think that Twitch Prime is this cash grab for Twitch. They think that Twitch Prime is this cash grab for the platform. Oh, you want us to pay you so we don't see ads. But a lot of people don't get advertised what it offers you because they just tell you what it kind of gives you for Twitch. So what I keep trying to tell people, especially when I am kind of advertising it myself, because I want people that subscribe to me to get a better benefit. I enjoy people subscribing to me, but I want them to get more out of it. So I tell them, hey, by the way, if you become a Twitch Prime subscriber, especially if you do it yearly, every month you can subscribe to your favorite streamer. It doesn't have to be me, but it can be any streamer you want. You can change it every month if you want for free. And on top of that, you get Prime Video. So it's their version of Netflix. You can watch that. You get their streaming music, which is Prime Music. You can listen to all sorts of pop music, country music, rap music, whatever. List goes on. They have the photo storage service. You can store your photos like PhotoBucket and Giphy or whatever you use to store different photos. You get free Kindle titles. I can't quote what kind of titles you get. Maybe they're garbage books. I have no idea. Thursday Night Football, if you're into that. You're into football games, and the Twitch Prime membership, which comes with free DLC, free emotes, ads free, and free games. So I try to put it in a light for people because I find that they're very bad at advertising it. In my personal opinion, they're very bad at advertising it. Things like Netflix and eBay and YouTube or whatever, they put it right in your face. This is what we do. This is what you get. I find that Amazon doesn't do that very well. At least from when I was looking at it, I had to actually go to the Prime website. I had to actually dig at the details. They didn't straight up tell me these things. I had to kind of dig to see it. Where I find whoever's in charge of their advertising doesn't necessarily need to be fired, but he definitely needs to understand people want to see the details right away. So put the shit they get at the top and then explain it at the bottom. So at the very top, put free streaming videos, ads free, photo storage, unlimited music, listen, download videos and music on the phone app, etc., etc., etc. Put it all at the top and then start explaining it so they can click it. Oh, video streaming, what's that? When they click it, boom, bops them down to the video streaming, explains it to them. It's kind of like our version of Netflix. They don't have to say that, but they can explain it in that sense. So that's ultimately what I think they need to start doing, is letting Twitch users and other people know you get all of this for $100. Well, now it's like $120, but you get all this for $120. You get a lot for $120. So that's the gist of that. I just kind of threw that out there because it does affect Twitch. It does affect people on the platform. It also affects Twitch users, so the viewers. So anybody who has Twitch Prime, please understand that you will be charged a higher fee. So it's going up. So don't get confused. Don't get scared. But it's going to be more expensive. It's going to happen. So I'm going to move on to the next one now that I've done that. So the next one is actually about Twitch leading the streaming game. So here we have Twitch and then all the other platforms, which that's pretty high versus all the other platforms. Now, let's get into the gritty here. These stats come from Streamlabs. So it's not official stats from the platforms per se, but it's more so from the streamers themselves. So I don't know if this involves view bots. I don't know if this involves bots themselves, etc., etc., because I know certain things like Mixer and things like that are not as evolved in the bot department and things like that as comparison to Twitch. But ultimately, to be fair, I believe this is more so revolving around games. I'll get into the article. It may not just be about games. I'm pretty sure it's mostly about games. Now, to be fair, Twitch started off mostly about games. It continued about games. They have offered IRL and talk shows such as this, which is not necessarily games. It doesn't have to be about games to do a talk show. And as you can see by the chart, wow, this is what I meant about me being sick yesterday and tired. The chart, Twitch, is getting up there. Now, a lot of the other platforms like YouTube have started copying Twitch. I've noticed that they've started adding their own bits system and renaming it its own thing. They've added like super fans and things like this and all these other things. So they have added parts to the platform that are kind of copying what Twitch does. So Twitch is ahead of the game They're a little behind on some stuff, such as the transcoding. So the transcoding is better with YouTube, but they've been in the transcoding game for a very long time, where Twitch kind of was like, only our partners got it. And now they're opening it up to other people, which, because they didn't do transcoding from the start, such as YouTube, they're a little lax on that, but they're better with the other stuff, such as monetizing the platform and trying to create entertainment for people. So let's get into the article so I can kind of explain it here. Twitch further solidified its lead in the gaming streaming market. So there you go. It is about games. In the first quarter of the year, with gains in both average concurrent viewership and peak concurrent viewership, it feels like I'm saying that word, while the number of two streaming sites, YouTube Gaming, saw losses on both fronts, according to the new report from Streamlabs, which has visibility into the market thanks to its software platform used by hundreds and thousands of streamers. Twitch viewership has up by 21% in the quarter, growing from 788k average concurrent viewers in Q4 2017 to 953k in Q1. Meanwhile, YouTube Gaming dropped 12% from 308k average concurrent viewers to 272k during that same time. Other streaming services also saw gains, but their viewership numbers are much smaller. So to be fair, there's a bit of a difference between these two platforms when you're a gamer. In my honest opinion, YouTube kind of sucks. And the reason why I think YouTube kind of sucks is it doesn't matter what I'm playing, YouTube finds something to complain about, and it's always something weird. So I would upload this, for example, using 100% copyright-free music, 100%, stuff that either belongs to me or is within the creative space it's allowed to be used. I'm giving a review, whatever, opinion piece. But they still find some random Indian pop star that claims that I've used 2 seconds of their song at 30 minutes, and then my video is now locked for the next 30 days or whatever until I prove that they didn't take their song or whatever. And this has happened on every game video I put up, and this has happened on 2 of my Real Talk videos. So to be honest, this platform here needs to fix their automation, because their automation sucks unless you're a big boy. If you're a big boy, if you got millions of fans and stuff like that, the platform is much nicer for you if you're in the gaming world. If you're going to do other stuff like prank videos, if you're just going to focus on Patreon and donations and you don't care about copyright infringement and things like that, I do. I try my best to curate what I'm doing, but there's a lot of content creators that don't care about that stuff, and so they'll just still put on Iron Maiden over the top because YouTube doesn't mute it. They try to claim it for somebody else. Now, this is where Twitch comes in to play. They mute it. So if you're into pre-recorded stuff, if you try to take your VODs and you want to share your VODs on things like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever, you have to manually record while streaming, which is a big harsh on your PC. Like, it's a lot of hardware use. But if you're playing copyrighted content, you're going to get muted. You're going to have your content muted. So if you go back to your VODs, you did a killer play and the Beatles were playing, you're effed. That is now muted. You're not going to get to use that clip unless you just want it with music over top and no sound effects, etc. But it will get muted and you will not be able to use the sounds from that VOD. I like that better because I use copyright-free stuff. So I never have to deal with it, but I've looked at people's VODs and it's turned me away. So for people that are listening right now, if you put copyright music on, I get turned away from your VODs if they're silent. I don't want to watch silent VODs. So if I can't watch your stream because I'm busy writing my own show, or I am playing games, or I'm off doing something else, like going to the gym, whatever, and I come back and I want to watch your VOD, like, oh man, they played this game, I want to see how they played, or I want to see what they did, and it's muted or 60% muted, I'm turned off by that. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of viewers are turned off by that. So that's why I to tell you guys, if you're in these two platforms and you don't care about copyrights, you need to start caring. So I'm going to continue with the article here. Facebook, for example, grew viewership by 103% to reach a 56K average concurrent viewers. Periscope grew 18% to 94K, and Microsoft's Mixer grew 90% to 9.5K. Now, before I continue, I want to say that I don't quite feel like Facebook and Periscope are on the same page as these other platforms, because those platforms are more so social networks, and they're more about like eating out, going to restaurants and streaming it, or I don't know, going to a theme park or something and streaming it. It's not really the same stuff, so I don't really want to include them in this argument. I guess they were just bringing it in there to bring numbers in, but I don't feel like they belong there. So Streamlabs can't track Mixer's viewership on Xbox. So apparently, according to, I guess, to the API that Mixer offers, it cannot watch what Xbox users are doing, which is most of it. Streamlabs is also missing some of Facebook's Live's viewership, as it can't track private like streams only shared with friends, which makes sense. It's no surprise that Twitch has the killer quarter. However, the company announced in February it saw record-breaking 388,000 concurrent viewers tune into the stream by Dr. Disrespect. This milestone was then blown out of the water following month when Ninja played Fortnite with Drake and Travis Scott, reaching 628,000 concurrent viewers. But even without these special events, Twitch has been growing, which is true. I've been on the platform for a while now, and I've seen it grow. And for example, I've seen things change. When new games come out, they'll be at the top for like a month and then they'll die, or it'll be like Fortnite, they'll be at the top and they'll be at the top, except for slow days where, say, if there's a League of Legends tournament or something, often I find League of Legends will overtake Fortnite for a bit. It also saw a 33% increase in average concurrent streamers in Q1, going from 27K to 36K. Now, this is probably a lot due to Fortnite, and a lot due to it being easier access for consoles to stream. It seems much easier for consoles to stream. So it pretty much goes on to this. So basically, yeah, it pretty much just goes on about how huge audiences like Fortnite, growth of non-game streams, and more. Streamlabs full report is here, and it breaks it down. So that's the gist of it. I'm going to move on from this topic. Numbers, like, this is why I said when people are like, oh, do you have interesting topics for us? There is a bit of business in this one, and that's why I find that some of these topics might bore some people. But ultimately, I will be moving on to the next topic. And always remember, if you join our channel, if you join the Discord and join Release the Cracken channel, you can see all these articles and all the content that I am describing here, so that you can see it for yourself and take your own ideas from it. So the next one comes from Saint Mayhem. Now, there is, I do tell people that if you have ideas, or you want to share topics, or you want to hear topics be discussed on the show, you can either contact me at cimmarian.com-contact. I think I'm pretty sure it's contact. Cimmarian.com-contact. Yeah, don't even know my own site anymore. It's because I've been too busy freaking fixing the thing. So also on the... you can join our Discord, join Release the Cracken. You can also hit me up in that channel and say, hey, I've been watching the show for a bit. I really like it. I want you to talk about this. Or I'd really be interested to see your opinion on this, or things such as the like. So this particular topic comes to me from Saint Mayhem. He's a regular in the Discord scene. Hello, Crazy XX Taco. Welcome to Release the Cracken. So... here we go. I'm going to continue on to this. So basically what this is about, what he wanted me to talk about, is, do first-person shooter games still need single-player campaigns? Because he said that if he plays a game like Overwatch, he would play single-player campaign a lot. Even if it had co-op features, he would play it a lot. And he would kind of like leave the multiplayer on the sidelines, or if a friend really wanted to play it. So, before I get into it, my opinion is it depends on the game. It really depends on the game. Why does League of Legends need single-player campaigns? I know it's not an FPS, but I'm just using these as examples. Why does Overwatch necessarily need a single-player campaign? I kind of like the way they do it right now, free chapters release, because they could actually release it as paid DLC. So what they could do, there's a lot of games are trying to strategically change things. So they're like, oh, if you want a campaign, what we'll do is the multiplayer portion is free, but if you want to play the story portion, we'll charge you in chapters. That seems to be the new thing that a lot of games are doing. We're going to charge you $20 to $30 per chapter we release. Every chapter is about an hour of gameplay or 2 hours of gameplay, and we're going to charge you per chapter. I don't really like that. I'm not a big story guy. I don't mind stories in games, but I'm more of a gameplay person. I like gameplay. I like interaction. I prefer being the hero, as in taking me out of the hero and representing him as something else, which is why Doom is here. Now, the idea of Doom is the narrative is you are Doom Guy. You know, you are Doom Guy, you're controlling Doom Guy, you do what Doom Guy does. So if you're going to kill the monsters on Mars, that's you. It's Doom Guy. You're Doom Guy. That's what you do. If you're going to run past them and try not to waste your ammunition, again, that is you. You're controlling them. You're the interactions. If you see a woman screaming on a wall because she's being tortured, do you shoot her and put her out of her misery? Do you watch a little while and walk away, etc., etc.? Again, that is you. That's what you do. Now, games like Mass Effect have tried to kind of manipulate that system by saying, hey, you can do a good thing or a bad thing. But ultimately, I prefer the games where I control the action and I do everything that I'm doing. Not getting constantly taken out of this person's head and being put on a camera that's mounted around and hearing these people be like, yeah, she just came here not too long ago. I think she planted a bomb. The bomb has been planted. Because I'm sitting there like, come on, man, freaking can't skip this. Come on. I don't want to hear these guys talk about this woman planting bombs. I want to play the game. But that's me. I don't mind stories. I grew up with Final Fantasy and all those games. Lots of reading. Lots of reading. If you want to know what's going on. I honestly don't remember most of those games I played because I played them as a kid and I didn't really care for the story to begin with. I just wanted to play the game because I loved video games. So I'm going to get into the article now so you guys can hear what it's about. This week, a rumor about Call of Duty Black Ops 4 being the first in the series to ship without a traditional single-player campaign did the rounds. We've talked a lot about the prospects of single-player games in recent months, but if this turns out to be true, and we'll likely find out on the game's 17th May reveal, it will feel like a sign of the times to some. We asked the PC Gamer writers this question: do FPS gamers still need a single-player campaign? As you might expect, there was a wide range of responses. And it's worth saying that all of us love good single-player games, no matter what. This is true. I like good single-player games, but there's a lot of trash ones, too. We encourage you to join in via the comments below. I'm not going to do that myself, but again, if you want to talk to any of these articles and stuff, you can. I'm going to drop it, release the Cracken after the show. So the first one comes from Andy Kelly. He says, no. In this soulless, transient age of games as a service, big mainstream shooters definitely don't need single-player campaigns. They're lavish, overproduced wastes of money, frankly, offering nothing in the way of innovation or imagination. The campaigns in these games almost feel apologetic, like an item on the checklist that has to be ticked. And I think developers are realizing that all people are actually interested in is having the same mind-numbing multiplayer experience over and over again. There is some psychological truth behind this. Basically, some people want the same story told, so the experience they experienced when they were playing something like Final Fantasy VII, they want that experience over and over again. So that's why a lot of game writers are actually scared to step out of that, because they're this is the tropes. This is what people wanted to see. They wanted to feel. So there's a lot of problems that come into writing when it comes to that sort of stuff. I would love the single-player FPS campaign to be relevant and interesting again. I remember playing the Modern Warfare 1 and being drawn away by how bold and cinematic and provocative it was. But that was a million years ago, and all the genuinely new, forward-thinking stuff in games is happening in the indie space, or in small blockbuster games like Dishonored. So let the FPS campaign die because it outlived its use a long time ago. Now, I don't really agree with his last part, because his last part is like he's basically saying, once you see Terminator, they're all Terminator. You know, like every game that comes out is going to be Terminator. It's just the same game, just with new characters or whatever in the campaign. There is some truth to that. There's a guy who loves a girl, he saves a girl gets in trouble, or things like that. But that happens. It's a story thing. It happens. And I find that the word innovation is used too much, especially when it comes to storytelling, because what do you want? Do you want to like open a door and be so shocked that he was actually saving a female cow, that his love of his life was a moo cow that produces gold milk, and this gold milk is actually a silky stream that can only be found from one cow in the entire universe? That's stupid. But people love that shit. They want that random, oh my god, I never saw this coming crap. And some tropes are good, but when you start getting out of that line, when you start getting out of that box and saying this is innovation, like I'm showing that humans can love outside of their species and blah blah blah. To me, that's just it's really dumb. When you get to that point, it's really dumb. You're going way too far. You're going way too far, you're going way too out of the box, and it starts getting really, really dumb. So a lot of these guys start talking about this. I'll put you can check out all their stuff. Some of them say no, some of them say yes, some of them say depending on the game. I'm definitely going to toss this into Release the Kraken if you'd like to read what the other writers had to say about video game stories. I'm going to move on to the next portion, because my ultimate opinion is they don't have to have single player. It really depends on the game and the content of the game. Some games they're better off left multiplayer. They're not really there to be single player stories. So let's move on to the next part. Give me 1 second here. Got to go through this nightmarish field here. So this next part's a video. Now this video is very interesting. Has to do with the topic at the top, which is Overwatch versus Team Fortress 2. So I'm going to stop the music for you, and you're going to see this video, and I thought it was fantastic. The guy did a wonderful job. Guy or girl, you know, they did a wonderful job producing this film.
Mission begins in 60 seconds.
There wasn't getting any lighter.
Big mug of my foot up your ass. We have you surrounded, at least from this side. Come on out.
You're so amazing. You inspire me. Get stuff.
I require healing.
Mission begins in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Moving, Zepano. Join me. Oh.
I always dreamed of being stationed here.
Let's keep it moving! I hate robots! Enemies re-engaging.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about! Alright, let's do this.
Time's up.
Cheers, love! Cavalry's here! Unfair!
Get stuffed. Now, where were we? Hiya.
Oh, you suck!
Been here all along.
Hello.
I healed the man who will kill you. Yeah!
The cart has almost reached the final terminus.
Let's keep this moving. Graviton Surge is ready. Огонь по готовности.
I was told we would be fighting men!
Is that all you've got? I am Mother Russia.
Russia? I am Russian man. Is nice thing.
Check out this gun.
Oh my god. This is the best thing! It is best thing!
Thank you.
This item is Harry's favorite. All will fear my gun.
Not bad, old man.
He's good, eh?
I want to hug you.
No! Kiss me.
Betrayal will not be tolerated.
Play of the game.
play the game. I like the Doomface part that made me laugh the most. It's just like, I'm useless. Alright, so that was the end of that video. I have some other videos. I'm going, like, all these will drop and release the Cracken, so if you want to grab them later, share in your Discord, share, like, on your social networks, whatever, you can go ahead and do that. The next one, I just grabbed the trailer for Ready Player One. You guys have probably already seen this or whatever. Quick little comment about it is they did a write-up about how this would make one of the worst games ever, because it's basically like if you were to take VR chat but add everything to it, literally everything to it. You would add every possible game mechanic, every possible thing to it. And they talked about how games like World of Warcraft struggled with these similar features that are in this movie because of people killing them and griefing them. So people that were high level in a PvP server would constantly grief low level players. And at the beginning of World of Warcraft, the graveyards were so far away that players kept getting punished 5+ minutes just to get back to their corpse, because it was a ghost thing that you had to walk back to your corpse. And what it kept happening was they would keep griefing them with these graveyards, and then eventually to try and take the griefing fun away, they added more graveyards so that it only took like 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute to get to your corpse now. So basically, spoilers aside, there's similar concepts in this movie. I'm not going to get into them to avoid spoilers, but I will play the trailer for anybody who may not have seen it. I don't know how you haven't seen it, but in case you haven't seen the trailer, I'm going to play it for you, and then I'll move on to the next part, which is about blockchain. If you haven't heard about blockchain, boy, do I have a treat for you, what these companies are going to be developing next.
My name's Wade Watts. My dad picked that name because it sounded like a superhero's alter ego, like Peter Parker or Bruce Banner. But he died when I was a kid, my mom too. And I ended up here. Sitting here in my tiny corner of nowhere. There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis. A whole virtual universe. People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do. But they stay because of all the things they can be.
Can you feel this?
Yeah. It's the only place that feels like I mean anything. The Oasis was the brainchild of James Halliday.
Hello. If you're watching this, I'm dead. I created a hidden object, an Easter egg. The first person to find the egg will inherit $500 billion and total control of the Oasis itself.
Who is this Parzival, and how the hell is he winning?
Find him. This isn't just a game. I'm talking about actual life and death stuff.
The Oasis, the world's most important economic resource. It's nothing less than a war for control of the future.
Welcome to the rebellion, Wade.
Like many of you, I only came here to escape. But I found something much bigger than just myself. Are you willing to fight?
Help us save the Oasis.
So to be fair, my opinion of the movie is it is a nostalgic bomb. So if you grew up and you're much older, so if you're 25 plus is stretching it, but if you're 30 plus, there's a lot of stuff in the movie that you'll recognize and go, oh, I know that. I know where that's from. So to me, it's more of a nostalgic bomb, which is okay for some, but for some others, they're just like... So I am going to go on to the next topic, which is blockchains. Now, you're probably thinking, what is blockchains and why is there a cat on the screen? Why is there an cat? Okay, so to kind of put it quickly, is blockchains is kind of like developers of games are trying to figure out a way to get their own cryptocurrencies inside their games. So they actually want to lock you, in a way, into their cryptocurrencies. Yeah. So they basically want to like, for example, a company like EA wants to make EA cryptocurrency that you need to purchase and use, and it has to be used. So it basically is something you have to do. So I hate the prospect. Now, the thing is, they're forcing people into, well, not forcing people, but they're basically, if you want to use it, you have to opt in, which is good. I would be very upset if opting in was buying their games. So the moment you buy something like, say, Mass Effect 4, oh, by the way, because you bought the game, you've opted into EA credits. And I'd be very upset at that prospect, because some companies do that. The moment you buy a product, you've signed a contract or you've opted in for these set coins. So I'll just go into the shindig. I won't read the entire thing because it does go on to kind of explanations of what different companies are trying to do with it. It's a little different per company, but around sometime last year, I started getting emails about a magical technology called the blockchain. Descending into the video game industry to usher in a new golden age. Okay, so I'm being hyperbolic, but the amount of blockchain-related emails I've gotten since the rise of cryptocurrency is no joke. Every time I get a new email pitching me the benefits of blockchain, it sometimes sounds like being pitched snake oil. If there's a problem in the video game industry, you can bet it can be solved with the cryptocurrency backing power of a blockchain. It also makes it difficult to parse what exactly the technology can bring to video games other than solve all the problems and to make all the money. So the initial purpose of blockchain is more so for the developer. It's not more so for the player. They do touch on that. They do touch base on that the development of blockchain has no... it doesn't really think of the player. It's more about the company. Surprise, surprise. But if you're wondering about the cat that's on the screen, they talk about blockchains being implemented into games. Now, this cat was created by a blockchain. Now, the idea of this means that if you catch something, quote-unquote, like a Pokemon, so like this cat, it will be specifically yours. It is now yours. It's digitally licensed to you, and it's the only one that exists. So nobody else will have it. Nobody else will own it. Nobody will have that specific looking creature, which is a neat prospect. I like the idea of that. It's kind of like what Borderlands tried to do with guns, where you'll find a gun that has a rare drop of almost next to nobody, etc., etc. Thank you so much for that host, Gamer Wolf. I appreciate that. I don't mind the idea of it as long as it doesn't involve spending the currencies, spending the money. Well, that's what I mean, right? It's like, how are they going to make billions of creatures? We're talking about blockchain. So basically, I'll give a quick shindig of this cat real quick here. They dubbed this the rarest crypto kitty of them all. So the first real example I've heard of blockchain being used in a game that wasn't some kind of new cryptocurrency or a startup came at the DICE Summit this year in Las Vegas, Nevada. Ubisoft's Director of Insights and Trends, Ludwine Soar, explained how blockchain technology could be leveraged into the collectible item economy, wow, in video games. By using blockchain to register a user's in-game content and items, blockchain could create online collectibles that are 100% owned by you and no one can duplicate. Soar likens these to digital Picassos that no one can take from you. So the idea is when you get an item in a game, it's yours. It basically belongs to you and only you. No one can just copy paste it. No one can just take it. No one can go find it from a boss, etc., etc. It is now your sword, your crypto kitty, your shield that no one else is going to get or find. Now, this can range in many different ways, in my opinion. I find it kind of silly because the way they make it sound like is you're going to get this wicked, awesome, epic, covered in pink and fleece with a big dragon breathing through it and stuff. It's not going to happen. How I see they're going to implement this is it's going to be like Diablo. You're going to get the same shit everyone else has, but it's going to have specific specs, and only you have those specific specs. So if you both pick up a buckler, which is a shield, if you didn't know, the one guy might have a buckler that has 10% fire resistance, and he's the only guy with a buckler that has 10% fire resistance, but the buckler is now useless once you go up a level and you get a new shield. So that's how I see this playing out in this type of portrayal. Sure, they could come up with a Pokemon game and stuff that's more unique in this retrospect, where you may find the rarest Pikachu that ever existed because he's got diamonds on his back or something, diamond shapes, or whatever they do with it. But ultimately, I can see it playing out like those RNG type of RPGs where they're like, here's an item, it's specifically rare to you because of its specs, not because of the way it looks, not because of how unique it can be cosmetically, but more so the specs, which I think is kind of a cop-out. Because they kind of already try to do that in games. It's just in this way it forces it into the system regardless of who's picking up said items. So they literally could drop one buckler. Everyone could pick up buckler. It makes a, crypto blockchain to just your hero and tries to give you this. Now, it might improve some of the RNG percentages that we see in World of Warcraft. We all know how trashy those can be since you spend weeks and you still don't get anything that you wanted. But at the same time, it could also just give you trash all the time with your name on it. Here's another piece of trash. Congratulations, here's your name on it. Everyone's going to know this is your trash. You remember that old saying, another man's trash is another man's treasure? Well, you can throw that out the window because we got blockchain on this baby. Another man's trash is his trash, and you can't touch his trash because it's crypto locked to him. So, say how it is. I feel that it's not really the best of options, not this golden age BS that they're trying to sell it as. I just think it's another way for people to lock you to an ecosystem sub-currency inside games where things are locked to your account, and even if people get into your account, they need some sort of special crypto code in order for you to, relinquish your crypto lock on these things. So here we go. While not a cryptocurrency in and of itself, CryptoKitties operate off the Ethereum blockchain network, and players can capture, collect, buy, trade, and breed CryptoKitties that are unique to that player. The first CryptoKitty, Genesis, was sold on December 2nd, 2017 for to 246.9255 Ethereum. So I guess Ethereum is their blockchain currency, which is the equivalent of $117,712 US. Genesis values presumably comes from its rarity rather than its circa 2005 Neopet aesthetic. So basically, companies are going to, this is how I see it playing out. If you get a rare kitty, all right, think about it. If you get a rare kitty that's worth over, say, 200,000 US dollars, are you going to tell me that those corporation and companies are not going to slap a 50% as hours on that in their games? Oh, you can sell it. You're going to make 100K, but we're going to make 100K of that too. You're going to sell it for 200K, but we're going to make 100K of that. That's how I see it playing out. I don't know how you see it playing out, but that's how I see it playing out. Because they're already trying to do that with third parties, with mods and stuff. Their own little markets for people making maps and mods and taking a cut. I can see that's definitely being what they do. Oh, by the way, this cat we made it a 0.01% rarity, so it's now worth almost $1 million. Little do they know, we're going to make 50% of that. That's how I see blockchain. So I think it's kind of BS. So companies that are already playing around with it or have their eyes on it are Pokemon Go creator John Hank has his eyes on blockchain. So yeah, basically what they're all saying is blockchain now, bye. Outside of CryptoKitties, the example given by Neotinix, John Hank, and Ubisoft's Ludwig Sohr offers hypothetical applications of blockchain rooted in products that are in development and ongoing research. What's moving forward in blockchains is cryptocurrency, and it's in this area that blockchain seems poised to impact game makers rather than video game players. That's what I mean, is their idea is to force this on them. No, but to be fair, with bits, right? Bits is just a way of cheering people on for a cent a bit. So they do take a cut of that, and it's shown that they take a cut of that, but there's no rarity. All right, they don't do the same thing that this wants to do. Blockchain wants to say this bit, this, I don't know, let's say ninja emote from Fortnite, only 2 people on Twitch have it. And if you want it, you have to spend this amount of bits, and Ninja gets to make this amount on it. Right? So that would be like their way of implementing it. So if you wanted that, you'd have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Ninja, let's say, makes $200,000 of that, and Twitch makes $200,000. So let's say you spend $400,000 on an emote because it's so rare on Twitch, and you want it. That's how I see that going. So, to name 2 blockchain ventures I've been emailed about since January, there's a Robot Cash and Super Game Chain, poised as Steam and Kickstarter alternatives based off of blockchain. So basically, they're trying to eliminate a lot of Steam and Kickstarter and et cetera, markets that have been kind of locked. Now, here's another thing. If you try to lock out Steam from their own personal market by creating a blockchain, I'm pretty sure Steam's going to make you sign a contract that you're not allowed implementing blockchain into your game if you want your game on their platform. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some problems there. It's just me. I can see some problems there. Steam might have something to say about that. But I could go on and on about blockchain. There's more stuff about what does it mean for the game industry? How is it going to change you as a gamer? Can you get these blockchain currencies for free just for playing the game, like similar games now, just it's worth real money, et cetera, et cetera. These are all real things that are going on in behind the scenes. I just wanted to make it present, okay? Because knowledge is power. And if you don't know these things are coming to your games, you're going to get sideswiped. So you're going to be playing a game or downloading a game, and you're going to get up there and they're going to say, hey, this is our blockchain. And you have to invest $5 to use these items, or et cetera, et cetera. And you're going to be sideswiped because you're going to say, what the hell is this? They now have like in-game currencies that are locked to my name and my PayPal and et cetera, et cetera. So this is just so you can kind of get the hint of it. If blockchain does come into play, you at least know it exists. You can do your own research. And remember, like this article and everything else I'm talking about, I do drop in the channel Release the Cracken in our Discord. In the Cimmarian's Discord, you can join Release the Cracken. And you can read all this stuff for yourself. So that's the end of that, blockchain. So the next thing that I have to talk about is actually reboots. So the next part is actually reboots, such as the brand new God of War. So some people like to talk trash about reboots. And I understand. I know where this is coming from. So, if we take a minute and talk about some reboots, you know really bad ones. Ones that were really bad, ones that were pretty good, or ones that were amazing. So, for example, the Castlevania reboot was considered amazing by people who liked games like God of War. Reason being is the new Castlevania played like a hack and slash with a whip, with a deep storyline involving Dracula, Gabriel Belmont. Twists happened. Not going to give you spoilers in case you haven't played it. But, so basically with the new God of War, they were talking about how it got such a high score and why the reboot was so good. Because the idea of the reboot was the director wanted to turn Kratos into a vulnerable father and take away the vulgar kind of like, I'm trying to think of it, but it basically like perverse man. So he basically showed up, killed everything, had sex with women, and told everyone to F off. That's basically original Kratos. That doesn't really phase well in today's video game market. There's a lot of people that would not be very happy with that. And even the behind the scenes, if you look the making of God of War, some of the people who played it and developed it openly say this game will get you laid. If you play God of War, you're going to have sex with women all the time. That is like very vulgar, very over masculinity kind of like BS that they threw on the game. The director wanted to get rid of all that, and he wanted to reboot it to show that Kratos is now like this vulnerable father who doesn't really know how to raise a kid, and the kid just is trying to figure out how he can fit into his father's world, into his father's life, and it plays out very well in the story. So I'm not going to give too many spoilers. And, oh yeah, absolutely. There's a story behind it, but it's like, there's a difference between anger, like, I'm going to kill people who killed my family, and anger like, I am now a Superman who will do what he wants all the time, which is kind of how they represented him, unfortunately, especially if you watch a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So here we go. I'm just going to read a bit of this so you can kind of get the gist of it. The greatest challenge in reinventing an established franchise these days frequently comes down to the retaining the series' essence within the parameters of the contemporary blockbuster format. Developers frequently pull elements like crafting systems or skill trees into the reinventions because they know those mechanics tickle their fans' endorphins. This isn't to say that the revamping an aging franchise is always easy or guaranteed success, but at least developers some comfortable blueprints from which to work. So, let's see here. Consider Sony Santa Monica's God of War, which returns this month after a lengthy hiatus in the PS4 sequel named simply God of War. That is, the new game shares its title with the 2007 PlayStation 2 adventure that kicked off the franchise, speaks to the fundamental desire by Sony to establish this less as a sequel and more as a new beginning. God of War combines its own legacy with the modern blockbuster format to tremendous critical acclaim. God of War's warm reception certainly represents a change from the way things were back in the original PlayStation era, when games like Capcom's Mega Man Legends attempted to reinvent aging franchises and found more resistance. Now, that's where they talk about some other games such as Metal Gear Solid, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64. They talk about how a lot of these games were actually built to create the system. So they would build Super Mario 64 and actually build the system around Super Mario 64, as opposed to having to rebuild a franchise title and then stick it into a system and with limited resources. When Mario 64 was created, they actually created Nintendo 64 around the game. Whereas with other games such as Mega Man and stuff like that, they had to actually try to get the hardware and then invent this game from the ground up for a hardware they've never touched before. It didn't really know about it. They didn't have all this luxurious time and information in order to make this game a thing. So, this aside, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of a lot of these reboots and stuff, some games, like for example, let's the Mega Man Legends, so you know, actually had voice acting before Metal Gear Solid, and instead of head bobbing, they actually had real moving mouths and stuff like that. But it was just because people wanted the old Mega Man, the 2D Mega Man, the 3D Mega Man, even had 3D locking, similar to Legend of Zelda and those games before they had it. It's just other games got credit for it because people preferred the reception. They preferred those games over the other ones. So that's just the reboots. I'm going to play a little video for you guys so you can kind of get an understanding of some of these directors. Now, I find that a lot of video gamers give these directors a bad name. And what do I mean by they give them a bad name? What I mean by they give them a bad name is a lot of the times when a director comes out with something like Mass Effect Andromeda, they don't cut them any slack. They literally say, these guys are dumb. They came up with the worst game ever. They don't even know what a game is. They don't even know how to develop a game. They don't know how to make a game, etc. They're really mean about everything. And it really shows in this director how much it means to them when gamers don't just straight up chew up your game and say it's garbage because it plays like the previous title, or it's garbage because it plays nothing like the previous title, or it's garbage because it plays nothing like a new title or a previous title, it's copying this other game, etc., etc. So quite often directors come under a lot of stress because they're in charge of everything, and it really shows here in this director.
Okay, hello everyone. Corey Barlog here, director of God of War. This is the little axe I got to smith with a bunch of other members of the press. So I am using that as my comfort axe as I take a look at the reviews that were just released today. I'm really trying to stall as much as possible because I am very nervous about seeing this. It is a long time coming. 5 years of work has gone into this game, so this moment means a lot. Okay, I've stalled enough. I'm hitting enter. I'm clicking on games now. Holy shit. It's a 93 Metacritic. That's 94 Metacritic. It changed when I oh, 5 years. It shouldn't matter, but I'm just so fucking proud. 52 critics, 94. A lot of people. Put a lot of work and a lot of faith. And I'm just so lucky to work with the people that I work with. Shannon Sudhill and Yumi Yang, incredible partners that believed in me when I didn't believe in me. So this is just gonna be Oh, I don't think you want to just sit here and watch me weep. So, I will say to every person who was with us on this journey for so long, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm glad I didn't fuck it up. I cannot wait until everybody out there gets a chance to play this. A lot of us at Santa Monica went into making this game. So much of who we are is on that disc. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I was fucking freaked out, man. I did not. I guess I didn't want to believe that others would see it as we saw it, so that's just awesome. I guess it's, it means I don't know shit. That's so crazy. Eurogamer says, despite eye-catching changes, the heart of this series remains gloriously unaltered. Sometimes a crazy idea can make something special.
Okay, so basically, these guys go under a lot of stress. And remember, he had to reboot one of the biggest PlayStation franchises. And there's actually a bit of a story as to why that was being recorded. It originally wasn't really supposed to be like all over the internet for people to see. He actually originally was recording it for his son, because his son is basically suffering from mass depression problems when it comes to people. So when his son gets sad or depressed, he doesn't want to be around people because he thinks people are like judging him, like hating on him, etc., etc. So he basically made that video to show his son that it's okay to be proud of your emotions. Like if you're expressing your pure emotions, it's okay to show it. Because if it's purity, if it's real, if it's genuine, people understand it. But if it's fake, if you're crying for sympathy, if you're crying for people to hold your hand and to like give you money or whatever, people sense that. People see it. People like, reject it. So basically, in the video above, we get to see Barlog experience a very genuine and genuinely heartwarming reaction to the news that God of War achieved an astonishing 94 Metacritic score based on the title's initial reviews. Barlog admits that the review score shouldn't matter, but that he's incredibly proud of the game and the work that the team put into it. A lot of, you guys heard this, but he basically said a lot of people put a lot of work and a lot of faith, and I'm just so lucky to have worked with the people that I worked with. Balrog has a fascinating reason for uploading this video at all. He said that his son, Hilo, is currently struggling to be around people when he's feeling sad or emotional. Balrog wants to teach his son that it's okay to feel emotional and cry, and that there's no need to hide it from people. As such, he hopes that giving his son a chance to see him experience such a genuine moment of emotion will provide that there's nothing wrong with having such feelings. It's certainly a noble goal, but one of the great benefits of this video is the way that it shows people the human side of video games. Even high-profile creative figures like Barlog don't really get the kind of attention that film directors and musicians sometimes receive. They become these shapeless faces hidden behind a brand or logo. Videos like this show the humanity behind our favorite games and why our reactions to the title do have meaning to those who worked on them. Because keep in mind, this guy was experiencing emotional distress with his son, and he was putting this with other people on the team. He was putting these experiences and emotions into the game, because the game is a father trying to learn how to be a father, as well as the son trying to learn how to be a part of the father's world. What's really impressive is that God of War's Metacritic score, review score, has only gone up since this video was released. It currently sits at a 95 overall. Critic scores on the review agitate site and at a 9.2 overall user score. We heap our own praise on God of War in our recent review by suggesting that it might just be the PlayStation 4's best game and is certainly some kind of masterpiece. Long story short, you really need to play God of War as soon as possible. From what I hear, it's a fantastic game. I don't, long name tried to say, I don't understand why I got such a high score. If you haven't played it, that's probably why. If you do go to try it, try to play it with an open mind, understand where the story is trying to go. But ultimately, the reason why I wanted to show this to gamers is that, sometimes people really try. They put their heart into a game. And he probably, before he turned that on, he was probably thinking in his head, either direction this goes, my end goal is to show my son, similar to in the game, that it's okay to cry because you're sad and it's okay to cry because you're happy. Is the initial purpose of that video. He wasn't doing it to try to get views. He wasn't doing it to try to get subscribers, etc., etc., etc. But ultimately, it is really nice to see that a director like him gets a little credit, where they're just kind of like, hey, here's a guy who put his heart into the game, and people actually care. So, all right. So that was the end of that portion. That was God of War and reboots. There's negative reboots, positive reboots, reboots that are just money grabs, reboots that are actual genuine reboots like the God of War series. So now we go into the next topic. The next topic is, it has been known that 2K Games is working on the next Bioshock. The good news, it's factual, it's a thing, it's happening. The bad news, they're only hiring. So they've barely touched it. So don't expect it for another 5 years or so, because they've barely touched the game. They're pretty much just hiring for it, and they said that their main goal is not to overhire, because a lot of companies right now are making the mistake of overhiring for certain games. So initially, here we go. Evidence that a new Bioshock is in development has been mounted for the last few months, but a recent report on Mafia 3 developer Hangar 13 has pretty much confirmed this has been the case. According to Kotaku, several former Hangar 13 employees have moved to a new 2K game studio to Novato, California, to work on the next official unconfirmed Bioshock title. The new Bioshock game is allegedly codenamed Parkside, and apparently it's so secret that the game's developers refuse to discuss it with their neighbors at Hangar 13. If anyone from Hangar 13 tried to strike up a conversation with them, they'd say, oh, we can't really talk about it. And an anonymous source is quoted as saying, we previously expected that 2K was hiring for the new Bioshock title after job listings at a new Novato-based studio for a first-person shooter popped up on 2K's website. These listings described the game as a stunning narrative and system-driven experience set in a fantastical world, and called for a lead campaign designer that should love sitting at a nexus of story and design, and has a passion for games that create symbiosis between the two. That sure sounded like Bioshock to us. So yeah, that's the good news. The bad news is, at least for fans eager for the new Bioshock title, is that it sounds like the game is still in pretty early development, which is why only a handful of Hangar 13's employees were able to move to the neighboring studio. So yeah, apparently Bioshock creator Kevin Levine is also working on a game that sounds like the evolution of Bioshock's immersion sim formula. So initially, it is in the works. It is open that it's in the works. It's just, it's not going to be... Yeah, Guillermo, did you know that new Borderlands is going to be Battle Royale? The multiplayer is going to be Battle Royale. It's going to be like Fortnite, PUBG. It's just with the RNG weapons. So the fact that all the weapons are random in Borderlands is what they're going for. Have fun with that. So I'm going to move on to the last topic before I can stick around and talk about topics for a bit with you guys. I don't mind. That's the key of this show, is it's the after show where we can talk about all the topics I've covered as well as new topics. So basically, this part is what goes on YouTube. This part is what goes everywhere. This is the great part about watching it live is afterwards you can talk to me about whatever you want to talk about. You can even make suggestions. Like earlier on, Saint Mayhem suggested a topic. I included that. If you want to join the Release the Cracken channel, you can in our Discord and suggest topics or things that you wish for me to talk about. And Lovebug, I saw that you appeared. I appreciate the fact that you came by to watch. Thank you very much. I saw that you were there. I was just too busy trying to keep up with the topics. So my final topic here is Cimmarian Charity. Now, Cimmarian Charity, I've been talking to people on stream a little while here about it, all right? So what I have been talking about for a little while here is when I was on stream, a lot of people kept saying, like, why don't you play competitive? Why don't you play competitive? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because you're such a good player. You're so good at playing. You're so calm. You're so collected. You just do your thing. Even when you lose, you show so little, like, you know, frustration, anger, blah, blah, blah. And I told them that the only way I play competitive is when I'm raising money for charity. And I've done this every single year. All right, I've done this every single year. However, I was not necessarily streaming it all the time. When I was doing it, it was more so just like, oh, hey guys of the community, for like this weekend, I'm going to stream playing this game. Feel free to come by. Well, this is going to be a bit more official. It's a Cimmarian team. Any Cimmarian community member can join it. You can talk to me about it. There is some key features that you have to stick with, some rules, such as streaming to the Cimmarian community so people can actually see you in the Cimmarian page on Twitch. Also, if you want to play on a team with other Cimmarian charity people, you would have to talk to people in the streamer channel. But this is how this is going to go. As you can see, this is my third year. I always I was surprised that it was my third year, but I have been doing it for longer than that. I started off with Let's Play, and then I moved on to Extra Life. So if you want to take part of it, you can. But what I'm going to do is every single Saturday, I'm going to be playing for charity. It's every single Saturday, if I can. I mean, there'll be Saturdays where I might get busy and stuff, but every single Saturday I will be playing for the sake of children that don't even get a chance in this world. Think about yourself for a minute here. Are you in your 20s? Are you in your 30s? Think about all these children that are between 2 and 5, and they have cancer. They have bone marrow that needs to be replaced. They have half their face being removed. They have lupus. They have all sorts of different diseases that are basically destroying them before they've even learned what certain things are. Now, what a lot of I do when it comes to charity is I like to bring these kids Nintendos. I like to bring them DSs, Switches, etc., because this gives them kind of like a positive refreshment. So when they take their painkillers and stuff, they can play, Splatoon and Mario and all these other games. And it also helps pay for parents that suffer with those financial problems. But weird. There's no music. I'll switch the song here. There we go. So, I don't know, I guess I got to the end of the playlist. But nonetheless, I'll be doing this every single Saturday, and if you do not have to donate to it, but if you do donate to it, you will appear on the Cimmarian charity page. So you will. I'm going to try and see if you can. You'll be in the credits. I'm not 100% sure because I have to implement a lot of this stuff into the stream, and it can be a little difficult sometimes. But I'll see if I can implement it into the credit system. If it can't be implemented into the credit system, I do apologize for that, but you will be included on the page for Crackmaster K as well as the Cimmarian team page. Now, every single Saturday, all year long, I will be playing competitive games or other games if people want me to play other games for charity. That is my cause. That is my reasoning. I do not want to play competitive for golden weapons. I do not want to play for dumb sprays. I do not want to play for bragging rights. If I get up to top 500, that has zero use for me. It has zero implications to my life. Woo, I'm top 500. Go me. It takes a team to get there. It takes a team to win. You can go to the grind, whatever. If you're one of those people who get upset because you can't get to top 500, find something else. Go bike riding. You know, go out, talk to some people at a coffee shop. I don't know. If that is your life goal, yeah, step it up a bit. Because I never want that to ever be my life goal. So ultimately, that's a new show that I'm going to be starting. It's going to be called Cimmarian Charity. All other Cimmarians are welcome to join it. I prefer streamers. And there is some rules that come along with it. But nonetheless, that is the end of the show. That is pretty much the end. If you're wondering why I still have this background, I have an artist creating a show logo. I'm just still, you know, it's still in the works. All right, here we go. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
I should get in there just so I can name it later.
Oh, it was a godly shot.
That's not what we needed.
I got a star. What's the problem?
Oh my
god.
Are you like a master billiards player? How the hell did you get the corner pocket?
I just was focusing real hard.